The silence isn't peaceful, it's predatory. You are standing at the edge of the tree line, looking down at the lakeside town. It looks like a postcard from 6 weeks ago. The water is glass, the shingles on the roofs are intact. But listen closer. You don't hear lawnmowers, you don't hear traffic. You hear the slap of water against the dock. And underneath that, a dry, rhythmic scratching sound coming from the garage of the blue house on the corner. That is the sound of the previous owner trying to claw his way out to meet you. Most people look at a town like this and see a sanctuary. They see a vacation home. I see a kill box. If you walk down that hill without a plan, you are just food delivery on 2 legs. Week 6 is the pivot point. The initial panic is over, the grid is dead. Now you either dig in and build a fortress, or you die on the road. Today we are taking this town. We are clearing it, securing it, and turning it into a hardpoint that can withstand a siege. This isn't entertainment. This is a briefing for the end of the world as we know it. I am giving you the SOPs that kept my unit alive when the chain of command disintegrated. But listening isn't enough. You need to be committed to the doctrine. If you want to be in the war room for the next scenario, if you want the intel before the general population gets it, click the join button below. Enlist in the unit. It costs less than a box of surplus ammo, and it supports the channel so we can keep running these simulations. Don't be a casualty. Be an operator. Join the ranks today. Let's move out. You don't walk down the centre of the street. That makes you a silhouette against the asphalt. You stick to the tree line, moving parallel to the main road. Your eyes are scanning for 2 things: movement and structural integrity. You spot a lone figure swaying by the shoreline. It's a floater, bloated, waterlogged, trapped in the reeds. It's not a threat right now, but it's an alarm bell. If there's one, there are 20. You check the houses. The third one on the left has a shattered bay window. Dark streaks stain the siding underneath it. That house is compromised. It's a hazard. You mark it on your mental map as a denied area. You aren't engaging yet. You are building a battlefield picture. You need to know where they are, and more importantly, where they aren't. You see a garage door slightly buckled outward. That's pressure from the inside. That building is a pressure cooker waiting for someone to crack the seal. Here is how the amateur dies in this town. They see that house with the buckled garage door and they think, tools, supplies. They walk right up to it. They treat this environment like a shopping mall that's closed for the night. They ignore the perimeter. They ignore the sightlines. They try to pry open that door, making a screech of metal on metal that echoes across the water like a dinner bell. And when that door gives way, they aren't met with a pile of lumber. They are met with 3 undead who have been trapped in the dark, starving for weeks. The amateur panics. They fire a shot. Now, every zombie in a 2-mile radius knows exactly where dinner is served. You cannot operate like a civilian anymore. Curiosity kills. Impatience kills. You treat every closed door like there is an IED behind it, because in this world, a hungry corpse is just a biological landmine. I know what some of you are thinking. You're sitting there typing, "Sergeant Miller, this is a waste of time. The National Guard would have cleared this town by week 6. They have satellites, drones, thermal optics." Let me stop you right there. The National Guard is made of people. People with families. In a localized disaster, yes, they show up. In a global pandemic where the dead eat the living, the unit cohesion dissolves the moment they realize the evac helicopters aren't coming back for them. By week 6, the remnants of the military are protecting key strategic assets: nuclear silos, command bunkers, and their own families. They are not coming to clear a lakeside suburb for you. If you are waiting for the cavalry, you are going to be waiting until you are one of the things scratching at the door. You are the cavalry now. You are the clearing force. Accept that or evacuate the planet. This specific threat, the undead, changes the recon rules. In a normal war, you look for enemy soldiers. Soldiers breathe. They shift their weight. They smoke cigarettes. Zombies do none of that. They can stand perfectly still in a closet for a month, effectively entering a dormant state until they sense prey. This is the sleeper threat. A house can look completely abandoned, totally silent, until you step on a squeaky floorboard in the master bedroom. Then, the pile of laundry in the corner stands up and bites your throat out. Your recon cannot rely on passive observation. You have to actively probe the environment. You toss a rock against the siding. You whistle low. You try to trigger a reaction before you commit your body to the space. You are fishing for monsters, and you want them to bite the hook while you are still standing outside the boat. You've chosen your target building. Brick facing, limited ground floor windows. Now you have to take it. You don't kick the door. That's movie garbage. You check the knob. Locked. You move to a window, slice the screen, and check the latch. Open. You slide it up, agonizingly slow. You pause every inch to listen. You slip inside, not with a gun, but with a spear, a broom handle duct taped to a butcher knife you scavenged earlier. It gives you reach. You need that 3 feet of standoff distance. The air inside is stale, smelling of rot and dust. You clear the room you're in first. Check the corners. Check behind the sofa. You move to the hallway. It's dark. You see a shadow at the end of the hall. It's a grandmother, or it used to be. She's wearing a floral nightgown stained brown. She hasn't seen you yet. You have the initiative. This is the moment where training overrides panic. The panic survivor sees that grandma zombie and pulls a trigger. Boom! In a confined hallway, that gunshot is deafening. It disorients you. It blinds you with muzzle flash. But worse, sound travels through the studs and pipes of the house. Every zombie on the block hears it. But the real problem is inside the house. You just woke up the 3 sleepers in the upstairs bedrooms. They come crashing out of their doors, tumbling down the stairs. You are now fighting a war on 2 fronts. The ones coming in the front door you left open, and the ones pouring down the stairs. You get swarmed. You get bitten. And all because you relied on a mechanical crutch instead of silent violence. In a zombie scenario, noise is a weapon used against you. Silence is your armour. Let's talk mechanics. Close Quarters Battle, or CQB, with zombies is about geometry and reach. You never enter a room centre mass. You slice the pie from the doorway, revealing the room in slivers. If you spot a host, you do not enter the room. You make a noise to draw them to the doorway. Why? Because the doorway is a funnel. It forces them to come at you one at a time. It's a fatal funnel for them, a kill zone for you. And you use a reach tool. A knife is a last resort. If you are using a knife, you are already in wrestling range, and if you wrestle a zombie, you lose. A sharpened pole, a spear, a heavy breakdown bar, these keep the infection outside of striking distance. Aim for the head, yes, but understand that skulls are hard. A thrust to the eye socket or the temple is your high percentage shot. Stab, retract, reassess. Do not get your weapon stuck in the bone. That is how you get disarmed by a corpse. Here is the part the manuals don't cover. The target in the hallway looks like a person. It might look like someone's mum. It might be a kid in pyjamas. When you drive a spear into a soldier, they scream, they drop, they go into shock. Zombies don't. You can stab them in the chest and they will slide themselves up the spear shaft to get to your face. They have no self-preservation instinct. This breaks the human brain. You expect pain compliance. You expect fear. You get neither. You have to be ready for the wet thud of the weapon entering flesh and the complete lack of reaction from the target. You have to destroy the brainstem while the thing is still snapping its teeth at you. If you hesitate because it looks human, you are dead. You have to flip a switch in your head. It's not a person, it's a biological machine that has malfunctioned. Deactivate it. The house is clear. You drag the bodies out the back, downhill, away from your entry points. Now you consolidate. You chose the stone house for a reason. Ballistic protection? No. Structural density. You need walls that dampen sound. You retreat to the second floor. You destroy the staircase. I mean it. Take a sledgehammer and knock out the treads. Replace it with a ladder you can pull up. This is your keep. Ground floor windows are the enemy. You don't just board them up, you barricade them with heavy furniture from the inside. Bookshelves, sofas, refrigerators. You create a physical wall behind the glass. But you leave gaps at the top. Firing ports, observation slits. You need to see out. A fortress with no visibility is just a tomb. You sit in the dark of that upper room, listening to the wind, knowing that for the first time in 6 weeks, you can close your eyes for more than 10 minutes. I've seen survivors turn their base into a coffin. They nail plyboard over every inch of glass. They pile mattresses against the doors. They seal themselves in so tight that no light escapes. It feels safe. It's actually a death sentence. First, you have no airflow. In summer, you will cook. Second, you have no situational awareness. You can't see the horde gathering on your lawn until they are breaking through the wall. And third, fire. If you board up every exit to keep the dead out, you have trapped yourself in. One overturned candle, one electrical spark from scavenged wiring, and you burn to death because you spent 3 days making sure nothing could get in or out. Always have a secondary escape route. A rope ladder from the second floor window, a hatch to the roof. Never build a cage and hand the key to the fire. Let's talk about signature reduction. Zombies operate on sensory input. Light is a beacon. If you have a lantern on the second floor and your window isn't blacked out, you are a lighthouse guiding ships to the rocks. But you need light to work. The solution is blackout curtains on steroids. Heavy wool blankets taped to the frames with cardboard over the glass. Test it. Go outside at night and have a buddy shine a light inside. If you see a glow, fix it. Sound is trickier. You are in a quiet world now. The ambient noise of civilization is gone. A dropped pot lid sounds like a gunshot. You need to dampen your living space. Rugs on the floors, blankets hanging on the walls to absorb echoes. You live in socks. You whisper. You modify your life to be low impact. This isn't paranoia. This is calculating the radius of detection. If you can lower your noise footprint to 10 meters, you can have a zombie walk right past your front door and never know you're home. You're thirsty. You've been clearing rooms and hauling lumber all day. The lake is right there, millions of gallons of water. It looks clear. The sun is sparkling off the surface. You walk down to the dock with a bucket. About 20 feet out, you see something bobbing. It's a suit jacket. Then you see the hair. A zombie, bloated and pale, floating face down. And another one further out. The lake is a soup of decomposition fluids. Every corpse that fell in, every zombie that wandered off a pier, is dissolving in your water source. You fill the bucket anyway because you have no choice. The water in the bucket looks clean, but you know better. You carry it back up the hill, the handle digging into your hand. You aren't just carrying water, you're carrying potential cholera, dysentery, and the zombie pathogen itself. This is the reality of week 6. The infrastructure is gone, and the natural resources are tainted. Listen to me closely. You are tired. You want to just drink. But you have a kid in that safe house, a little girl who trusts you to keep the monsters away. If you give her that water without processing it, you aren't protecting her. You are the monster. You need to see her face every time you want to skip a step. You boil that water. A rolling boil for at least 3 minutes. You filter it through cloth to get the big chunks out, then through sand and charcoal if you can build a filter. You treat it like it's radioactive waste, because if she gets sick, if she gets dysentery, there are no doctors, there are no IV fluids. She will dehydrate and die in your arms while you watch, helpless. And that will be your fault. Not the zombie's fault. Yours. Fear fades. But guilt? Guilt will keep you boiling water at 3 a.m. when your eyes are burning. The lake is the backup. Your primary source needs to be the sky. Rainwater on a roof is cleaner than lake water, provided you disconnect the downspouts from the ground drains. You rig up a catchment system. You cut the gutter, divert it into a plastic trash can you scrubbed out with bleach. But here's the catch. Birds. Bird droppings on the roof mean salmonella. So you still boil, but you are avoiding the corpse soup of the lake. You need volume. A standard roof sheds hundreds of gallons in a storm. You need storage. Barrels, bathtubs, whatever holds liquid. You place these catchments on the blind side of the house, the side facing away from the street, away from zombie sightlines. The sound of water dripping into a plastic barrel is loud. Muffle it. Run a chain or a rope from the spout into the barrel so the water slides down silently instead of splashing. Every drop you catch from the sky is a trip to the Lake of the Dead you don't have to make. The pantry scavenging is getting thin. The easy cans are gone. You are looking at a future of starvation unless you produce calories. You find a backyard with good sun. You start digging. But digging is hard work. It burns calories you don't have. And it leaves you exposed. You are bent over, eyes on the soil, back to the world. A perfect target. You can't use power tillers, too loud. It's shovel work. You plant potatoes, nutrient-dense, hidden underground. You plant beans. You avoid tall crops like corn that block your sightlines and give zombies a place to hide. You are farming in a combat zone. Your rifle is leaning against the fence post, within arm's reach. You dig a row, scan the horizon. Dig a row, scan. It's not peaceful gardening. It's tactical agriculture. You caught a fish from the lake. Or maybe you found a stash of bacon in a freezer that still had power. Great. Now, how do you cook it? If you fry bacon in a dead neighbourhood, the smell travels for half a mile. Zombies might not want bacon, but starving dogs do. Other survivors do. And zombies are curious about any biological scent. You need to control the olfactory signature. You cook inside, windows closed. Or you use a Dakota firehole method outside to disperse the smoke. You bury the waste. You don't toss fish guts in the bushes. You bury them 3 feet deep. If you turn your base into a buffet of smells, you are inviting guests. And in this world, guests don't knock. They kick the door in. Eat cold food if you have to. Heat only what you must. And never, ever cook something pungent when the wind is blowing toward a known zombie density area. Nobody wants to talk about latrines in a zombie movie. But in week 6, the toilets don't flush. If you keep using them, you fill your house with disease. You have to go outside. You dig a trench downhill, downwind. But think about the vulnerability. You are squatting. Your pants are down. You are defenseless. You are distracted. This is a prime ambush time. I call it the vulnerable moment. You need a buddy system. One person does their business, the other stands guard with a spear. If you are alone, you build a screen, but not a wall. You need to see over it while seated. You clear the brush around the latrine site for 20 yards. No hiding spots. And you cover your waste immediately. Not just for hygiene, but because the smell of human waste tells a predator, living or dead, that prey is nearby. It marks your territory in the worst way possible.
The nomad argument.
I hear it all the time. Sergeant Miller, I'd just stay mobile, live out of a backpack, never sleep in the same place twice. That works for week 1, maybe week 2. By week 6, you are burning 4,000 calories a day hiking with a ruck. You are scavenging crumbs. You are getting weaker every day. The weather is turning. A twisted ankle means death. A base allows you to stockpile. It allows you to rest and heal. It allows you to farm. The nomad dies of exposure or exhaustion. The settler has a chance to rebuild. Yes, a base is a target, but it's a defensible target. Being on the road is being in the open, 24/7, surrounded by millions of potential threats. You cannot run forever. Eventually, you have to turn around, plant your feet, and say, "This is mine. Come and take it." You've cleared the house. You've boarded the windows. You have a barrel of boiled water and a garden of potato eyes in the dirt. It's night. You sit by the window, looking out through the slit in the blackout curtain. You see a shadow move across the street. A zombie, shuffling endlessly. It doesn't know you're there. You are a ghost in your own town. This is survival. It's not glory. It's not an action movie. It is a grind of chores, silence, and hypervigilance. But you are alive. Your family is asleep in the next room, breathing safely because you did the work. You followed the protocol. You didn't panic. You adapted. We build walls not because we hate what is outside, but because we love what is inside. That is the oldest truth of civilization. In a world of the dead, the wall is the only thing that separates chaos from order. You are the architect of that wall. You are the guardian at the gate. The grid isn't what keeps the lights on anymore. You are. The police aren't what keeps the monsters out. You are. Accept the burden. Carry the weight. Because the alternative is to become one of the things scratching at the door. The simulation ends here for the civilians, but the training continues for the unit. Next week, we simulate the first raid by hostile survivors. We cover counter-ambush drills and ballistic defense of the home base. If you want those plans, if you want to be ready when the living come for what you've built, click join, support the channel, secure your rank. The world is getting darker. Make sure you're the one holding the torch. Dismissed.